how to really get this guy to commit, to
Mm.
stop being distant, and to love you. This will be the topic of the Love Coach podcast. I'm here with my dear friend, Coach Andres. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing great. The hurricane's not too bad, but hopefully everyone's safe. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing amazing. Yeah, there was a lot of rain, but I use the time to really work on this topic, work
Yes.
on this live, and
Yes.
be there for you because we are growing with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for sharing your questions as well. We want to be able to answer you and to give you real actions. I think, Coach Andres, this is the one thing that we want to provide is solutions, actions moving forward. That is a big difference with other relationship
A
experts.
100%. Just to add on to that, I just want to say thank you for all the viewership. We're seeing the numbers increase. So again, share this with your friends, share this with anybody, any female coworkers, anybody who you think might be able to benefit off this 1 hour podcast. Because again, we want to do this for you all. You guys make us a better coach. So thank you for joining.
So we wanted to start, we always take a minute to wait for you to be live with us and take a minute to talk about the question that we hear all the time. And
Mm.
I heard a lot of you ladies, when I coach you, you would tell me, but Alex, there is a huge difference when I'm on the dating website, when I'm talking to a guy, they send picture that was 10 years ago. They look like with undressed haircut. That means amazing. And now they are bored. So we want to tell you also that men will complain sometimes. We talk to men that say, hey, women will use a lot of filters in their pictures, so
Mm.
it's not really them when we meet them. I feel that we live in a society where we always overlook others. We always look at others. Oh, they are beautiful, they are amazing, they are perfect. And so we are not focusing on being ourselves. So before we talk about how to make him commit, how to stop making him distant, how to really build a relationship. I want you to ask your question, Coach Andres. Do you receive a lot of comments like men don't look the same and women use filters too much?
All the way. And again, before we get to the topic about commitment, it's more about what are you putting out there? What are you representing? What are you marketing? What are you promoting within a certain look? And again, obviously you want to look good, you want to look attractive, you want to look healthy, but you got to look like you. And so I've had a lot of clients, I've had a lot of comments about the complaint of, let's say, a male's picture not presently current to how he looks now, or doesn't match his height on the profile, or maybe like you mentioned earlier, the hair loss is starting to get a little too thin over here. So it's like we understand that point, but again, women who are, look beautiful, use makeup, have all these things of being elegant and classy and just sexy and all the things that us men love. It's great to a certain point when it's natural with something that you can use as in your makeup. But the filtering, we were talking about this prior to the podcast, is taking over where it's changing your face. And so we understand women value and prioritize getting the right angle, having nice lighting, no red eyes, no red pupil eyes. When we understand, us men, when we're like the boyfriend husbands, we understand we're not moving until we get the picture that everyone likes. But when you start using filters that change and alter your face, I've actually had male clients come to me about saying, she looks nothing like her profile. She looks nothing like anything I saw. And so again, you want to make sure you keep, less is more when it comes to filters. Be more confident and genuine with who you are. Represent the real you. And that way you have unrealistic expectations going out there.
And I feel also the issue is when we look at social media, when we look at others, we live in a society where we want to be perfect and
Yeah.
we want to respect the rules. So if you're using filters or if you want to use some specific pictures, I always recommend you to be you. Remember, ladies, that your best asset is your uniqueness. It is your personality. It is your silliness as well. So that's why we want to push you to be you.
Mm.
And I think it's related to the topic of this live podcast show where we want to talk about how to really get a guy without doing what he wants, without
Mm.
losing yourself. I've coached so many women since 2007. When you ask me, Alex, how can I get him? You're literally asking for me to give you a solution where you're okay with forgetting your needs. You're okay with being what he wants and not focusing on what's important for you as well. So the reason why I'm saying that is because if you try to find games or if you want a magic method, you will always be disappointed.
Yeah.
What will be working is for you to understand male psychology And so let's start with this idea of commitment. What do you think, Coach Andres, it takes for a guy to really say she's the one or I want to commit? Because it seems at the beginning, men will do a lot of efforts, but once the intimacy starts or once the relationship
Yeah.
starts to be more established, then they become distant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you think this is happening, and what will be the other solution?
I think the best way to understand your timing of when you're going out to date or get into a relationship or pursue a guy, and that way you could be more wholesome, genuine, compassionate, humbled about what you're doing. Because a high value man, and I'm sure just like high value women, so please comment on this if this relates to you. High value women want a confident man who's also humbled. They don't want an egotistical man. They don't want a shallow, superficial man. They don't want a man who's so self-absorbed about just the shallow materialistic things in the world, but they also want someone who's also masculine, confident, strong, and again, humbled. So the timing is more of you understanding, not playing the games, being patient, taking your time to really get to know someone for who they are, not what they make you feel. And so that way, you're not necessarily playing such a mission impossible, hard to get situation. You're valuing yourself where I'm busy. My priorities are number one. I would love to get to know you, but guess what? I don't like to overextend text messages all day. I want to see if you're willing to actually want to call me,
Mhm.
hear my voice, connect, and bond. Because the first thing I see right off the bat when it comes to a first date or into multiple dates, the relationship's built on text messages. So you already have some kind of perception of what the connection is, but really it's not true because you haven't engaged in person or at least over the phone. And there's a lot of missed opportunities to find that bonding moment between two faces, two voices, two expressions. And I feel like you're giving yourself not enough justice. You're kind of setting yourself up for failure when you build the exciting, flirtatious, questioning, and curious moments and backstories of where you're from over the phone with your thumbs. And so that kind of just doesn't really give you the best strong platform you'd want to go forward in a relationship. And I feel like a lot of people play with that and sometimes get a little too anxious or insecure with that.
I think it's also coming from fears.
Oh, 100%.
I've got so many women. They have the fear to, oh, if I don't respond fast, he would forget about me.
All right. So,
Let's go.
all
I
right.
see you want to
No,
talk.
no. I'm asking, I'm going to give you my opinion. Back in your dating days, and now I'm happily married. Do you feel that if you don't get instant responses from a woman, that you're like lose interest immediately?
Honestly, no.
Exactly.
Honestly, no. And I feel like, when you first start dating, maybe you want to be pushy, maybe you want to be very involved. But there's a moment where if you want a guy to really commit and pursue you and chase you by the right way, we are very attracted by a woman that knows where she is, know what her goals are, has her life established. That doesn't mean that you don't need a man, but you want to live with purpose. And that's why I always have this sensation that your fears are pushing a guy away because you need to be reassured. But every time you need to be reassured, you are acting in a way where it doesn't need to do more. It doesn't need to provide. It doesn't need to really get to know you because you're already kind of in love. You're already available.
To add on to that real quick,
Yes.
because I completely agree with everything was that is that if you feel there's a fear of him losing interest because he doesn't respond, you don't respond immediately, or you guys don't hook up quicker than expected.
Mm.
Was he ever really invested in you then? You have to think about that. If he's willing to leave that quickly within 1 day, 3 dates, 1 month, 2 months, obviously the beginning stages before the commitment, which is the topic, do you really think that he was ever that invested in you if he's that quickly to run out the door because you didn't respond immediately? You didn't tell him what he wanted. You didn't do something he wanted intimately. You have to process that to a point where you know that there's a truth where you find that out later, but in the moment of the anxiousness, the fearfulness, you're overthinking it and you're like, all right, I'll do it. I guess I will. I'll compromise my standards. I will cross my boundaries because I want to make sure he likes me. And that's the number one thing I've noticed the most. A lot of my clients, they're too more obsessed about getting the guy to like them before
I
they even
love this.
realize they like him.
Yeah, that's something very interesting because if you always focus on pleasing him, First of all, I want you to know that it's coming from the education. We receive this education that we need to forget about ourselves and please someone else. So if you want to be happy in love, you need to give everything to this man. And I tend to think that it's not a good way to visualize a relationship because you lose yourself, because you give too much. And then you realize that he wasn't even meant to be with you. He wasn't even a good man for you. But as Coach Andres mentioned, we are so focused on making other to love us that we forget about, do I have a real connection with this guy? And if he's not here for you, if he's here for your body, if he's here for his ego, if he's here just to play you, then you should not care about losing this guy. It's easier to say than to be done, but it's also the mindset. When you want a guy to commit, he needs to see that you're different. Because when, tell me what you think of that. When a man will feel that there is some fears, he will use it against you. Even if he's a good man, he would just feel that, okay, let me use this against her. Let me play her a little bit and see where it goes.
Unfortunately, yeah, I agree with that because
Mm,
most people date the wrong way with the wrong intention. Most people date from rebounds or neediness or loneliness or a replace repeat approach where they don't really ever process or grow to understand what they really want. They just know what they're used to. So sometimes either one of them, the women or the men, will use what they hear or their fearful insecurities to their advantage in that sense. So that's where it's like a strong, high value man, as I'm assuming, as a strong, high value women out there, you can sense a man being confident because he knows what he's generally all about. He knows his value. He's not going to fold. He's not going to show some level of weakness. He's going to show consistency. And so for the ladies out there, you have to understand you need to be in a place of just knowing you're good without someone. You want a relationship, you don't need a relationship. You want love, you don't need love. And so that's more of a reflection. Are you happy with where you are? And one thing we always try to implement in our coaching is more of like that reevaluation of yourself, that life coaching element where it's more about, are you dating with the right energy? Are you dating with the right mindset? Are you in a good place where you're not going to fall or basically easily get manipulated from the wrong guy who would use that to your advantage? And so the right guy can sense a woman who's just calm, collective, confident, humbled, and just focused. Us men love that. And that way we're like, man, I'm lucky to be with her. She's making time for me. She's going to be good with or without me. She's going to be happy with or without me. She's going to be successful with or without me. And that makes us feel like, wow, I need to do something special or do something at least confidently where she sees my true interest compared to just trying to chase.
I think it's going fast, but what you're mentioning is very important, Coach Andres. It's maybe the first episode where we are like all agree on everything. That's the first time I'm trying to pick at this guy, but I cannot.
Yeah.
There is a comment from Azurea saying, Alex, you changed my life 6 years ago. Thank you. Wow, 6 years ago. That means I'm starting to be old in the game now. Like this is in English because in French I started like 18 years ago. Whoa, thank you so much. I really appreciate your comments. It means the world to me. There is also a comment from Jensen.
Yeah.
Most of these guys are not ready yet. And I want to respond to that and I want to have a discussion with you. Let's see if we agree or not. So, Jensen, I love your question and thank you again. And remember, ladies, we need your support to share this video to all of your friends to make sure that you hit the like button. We are on TikTok, we are on YouTube and Facebook as well. But we also really enjoy your questions on every platform. Jensen is saying most of these guys are not ready yet. I tend to think that there is not a lot of guys. I would say no men are really ready to commit. If you ask a guy, are you ready to commit? Some will bullshit you and say, yes, of course, I want to get married and have kids because they only want to get to you. But most of the men, we are not really ready. What will make us ready is the fact that we will invest little by little. And at the end of the months of the dating phase, we will be like, she's the one. So what do I mean by that? If you ask a guy, are you ready for a relationship? He will say no. But if you start to get to know each other, if you force him to create dates that are very fun, where you can bond, there is a moment where he will wake up and he will be already married with you. So I tend to think that commitment create fear create fears, create disengagement, create distance. But if we don't think on the commitment, but just on the idea that we need to get to know each other, we need to create a bond, a chemistry, at the end of this stage, you will be in a relationship without even asking for.
Mm.
What do you think of this, Coach
I,
Andres?
I I agree a lot with what you're saying. Even though it's kind of, I've told myself I'm ready for a relationship. I'm ready for marriage. There is a fear of commitment, and
Mhm,
not the commitment towards one person, the commitment of stepping up to be the ideal man I know I could be, or being that provider, that protector, that father, that husband. That us men do have that healthy insecure feeling of that, because we want to be the protector, we want to be the hunter to for the family, we want to, take care of the home. And so women have such a higher emotional intelligence, emotional range of things, where they have processed or thought about this, we'll call this transformation, girl to woman, a lot more than us men emotionally. We
mhm,
try to more focus on the, financial situation, personal, educational, professional, strength, mental. We focus on a lot of other things, but maybe we kind of sometimes overlook the emotional side, which we need. And so back to what you're saying, we find that reassuring confidence when we know we're with the right woman that makes us ready, because we realize through our logical way of thinking, we realize through our practical way of seeing things, we're like, this woman makes me the best man ever. I don't
mhm.
know what I would do without her. And we make ourselves ready because we realize you're not going to find anything better. And so it's very important to understand that, if a man's a little fearful or insecure about the commitment, again, not he wants to be with multiple people. That's something a little more questionable, but more of he's just hesitant because his parents were divorced. All he knows is divorce. All he sees in that situation. Understand that he's actually speaking from that vulnerable standpoint and already is committed to you. And it's not about threatening from other women. Just, it's, again, it's a big step for us. And I figure, like, I remember my brother said this clearly, and he was like, when he got married, he was like, I'm not going to walk down the aisle, I'm going to run down the aisle. Because he was like, I'm so excited to take this next step. I'm scared, but I'm so excited because I found the woman who made me the best man ever. And I was like, I love that. It's like, it wasn't cold feet, it was frozen feet, in a way where I'm tired of being the way I am. I'm tired of thinking the same. She makes me the best version. I'm running down that aisle, no hesitation. And I was like, I love that, because again, us men are a little scared to commit, not towards one person, but that bigger thing of family and everything else.
I think it's a great information to for you ladies to learn more about male psychology. And I realized that the idea of commitment is when we need to do something. And if I need to do something, there is always fear. I'm not sure I want to do it. So it needs to come from the intention that we know we are ready. So if you think that someone will be ready yet, I think it's your job, ladies. That's why we are here as relationship expert to make him want it, because if you can connect with a guy, if you can bond with him, if you can have dates like he has never done before with any other woman, I can guarantee you that he would be ready without even thinking about it. The reason why someone would tell you that he's not ready, it's because he thinks, I'm not saying it is, but he thinks that you are like any other woman. He doesn't see something special in you. When we look at your brother, he said, she is the one.
Mm-hmm.
She makes me feel special.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get a guy to commit, if you want him to stop being distant, he needs to understand how different you are, how unique you are. That's the reason why getting a love coach is so important, because if not, you will stay in your pattern, unfortunately. So you will continue to act based on Hollywood, on Disney, on the society, even if every time they are the same advice. Give him what he wants. Be nice with him. Don't voice your issues. Tell him to be able to get married with you or to commit with you. And the problem is that every time you do that, you're pushing them away. Now I want to talk about a specific situation because there is Anne, and thank you so much, Anne, for your comment in the section in the chat. She said he has different preferences because he's a doctor. He's looking for a doctor that has the same schedule. And I asked Anne, okay, was he looking for that at the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Did he tell you he wants only a doctor because of schedule, which will be something we can understand? And her answer was no. He was so attached at first. Basically, he was clingy, they were intimate, and after that, he started to well, he started to, pull away, and he was breadcrumbing Anne. The reason why I ask those questions is because it's very important. When a man is coming to you and say, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for," it's difficult to change his mind. But when he comes to you, he's so in love with you. And after a while, specifically after being intimate or when he knows that you're starting to develop feelings, he says, "No, you know what? I'm not really interested in you." Me as a love coach, I would always tell you it's because he's looking for a woman that will be a challenge.
Mm.
Some men, and if we look at the percentage, it would be 50%. 50% of men, they don't want a woman on their side. They don't want an easy relationship. They want to go for the challenge. They love to put a woman on a pedestal. They want to tell themselves, she's too good for me. And so once you start to be nice and sweet, they start to not develop feelings. And this is why you sometimes have some issues. But let's hear Coach Andres. What would be your advice to Anne when she says, now you want a doctor, but he was not looking for it at the beginning, but now that they were intimate, now that he was so, she was a bit more involved.
Well, first of all, Ann, thank you for sharing your situation.
Yes.
Thank you for joining. And so that, when you were talking about your feedback on that, it made me think of a quote, how some people leave or give up on a partner that has 80% of what they want, only to search for the remaining 20% and what they don't have. And he seems like he's kind of fitting in that, because it seems like he was all over you and pursuing you, and you were, everything he was, but you're not a doctor, or we don't have the same schedule. I get lifestyles in the sense of scheduling, or maybe like, we both want kids, or maybe if it's about religion or politics, something
Mm-hmm.
very specific. I understand those things. Those factors are could be very sensitive and very traditional. The doctor thing, like, I'm sure you brought a lot of complimentary emotions and feelings and energy and presence to a very emotionally demanding, stressful job, profession. So he might actually regret attracting someone who has the same schedule, but not similar compassion. And so I feel like he was searching for 20% in something that doesn't exist, because he's not valuing what the 80% is. I look at it, Ann's guy's doctor situation, where if you're in a point where everything's great and you're now looking for something to be perfect, you're realizing you're living in a delusional world, because nothing is or ever will be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You want good as often as possible. When you think about it, overall in your own personal life, this year is coming to an end, and I love the holidays coming up. How many great moments did you have in 2024? What, 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe 5? Oh,
6, 7.
oh, he had a
I had
good
a
year,
good
folks. He
life.
had a
I
good
love my
year.
life.
He had a good year. But 6, 7 out of almost 365 days. And without getting too personal, how many horrible, bad days did you really have out of the whole year?
I think 4, 5.
All right, 4 or 5 horrible bad days, 6, 7 great days. So we're looking at it, mathematically, 342, 3 days of the year were good.
Yeah.
Not great, not awful, good.
Mm-hmm.
That's life. That's reality. So
I
when
love
you're
it.
searching for more of those 7 amazing days, that's not going to happen. You're overlooking and undervaluing 342 good days. And so when you're looking for that doctor to doctor schedule compatibility, again, when it comes to certain lifestyles with scheduling, that might kind of find a level of understanding. But I feel like he's just looking for something that's not really there, because it looks like Anne was giving him everything he needed, and
Mm-hmm.
he's looking for something else. That's something he doesn't need. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Coach Andres. And I love the numbers to see like life is not sometimes or always very exciting, right? Life is about loving your day-to-day life, loving you the friends that you're sharing your time, loving the family that you're with. And we are always looking for the icing on the cake, which is the relationship. Now, what I see most of the time, and you can tell me what you think of this as well, is a lot of men will act like Anne's ex-boyfriend or boyfriend, which means a lot of men, when they would meet you, they will be crazy about you. They will be in love with you. And I've seen so many men, Like one of the example that I'm always sharing, it's like they will drive hours. I've seen men driving for 5 hours just for 15 minutes,
Did you
just
hear?
for a little
Did
kiss.
you hear that David Beckham story?
No.
The documentary on
Oh
Netflix.
yeah, I saw where he was flying just.
He would fly. He would drive
I
eight
saw that.
hours there and back just to see Victoria for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. So I see a lot of
Wow.
men doing that. And for you, of course, that's the moment you will let your guard down. You will tell yourself, well, if this guy is driving 4 hours for a 15-minute moment with me, then it's someone I can trust. It's true if he's consistent in his actions, right? If he takes the time to be consistent. If, like Anne, you're seeing that now he's starting to be a little bit distant. For me, this guy is very, very attracted by the challenge.
Yep.
So he sees you as a trophy, right? He wants to get you. And the moment he knows you're here, he will lose interest. So my philosophy is all about becoming a challenge.
Mm.
My philosophy is all about, hey, let's show him that maybe he took you for granted, but it's not the case. You have your own life, you're happy, you're busy, you're exciting. This is what I call high value. When you have high value and high energy, men tend to think, oh, okay, so she doesn't need me. Let me go see if I can get her back. Let me see if she's really interested in me. So that's how you will be able to balance the situation. Question for you, Coach Andres. If I want Anne and Sheila and Gi and Azurea and Dennis, if I want them to be a challenge, like the guy will tell himself she's the one, she's up there on the pedestal, what will be your number one advice for them?
Don't be available as you used to be,
Okay.
and understand that if he's ever going to have a chance with you, he's going to have to explain the situation, acknowledge it, have some accountability of it because you took someone for granted. We all make mistakes, and sometimes we get a little too wrapped up in our own worlds or professional lives, or even if you're a parent, single parent, that's understandable. Holidays, school, hurricanes. I mean, my goodness, we almost had to cancel this podcast today because there's so much going on. But
Yeah, that's true.
um, you need someone to be accountable. You need someone to own up on whatever it is when they take something for granted or inconsiderate or maybe somewhat rude about certain things. And then I think again, having a discussion with in person, at least minimum phone, you'll be able to have more of an idea where to go from that. But just to, you know,
What if the guy bullshit you?
well,
I love this one because that's
All
where
right.
we disagree. We found something we disagree. I said
Good.
you don't talk to a guy like he will. Oh yeah, I love you, but I don't have time. But I want to be with you, but not this weekend.
No, that's
not next
bullshit.
week. Oh, okay.
That's bullshit.
How do you react when he's bullshitting you?
I click goodbye. Boom, done. That's it. I don't react.
What if you, because they will tell, but I love him, Andres. I will be you, ladies. But I love him, Andres. I know he's a good man. It's just that his father didn't give him love when he was a child.
I'll tell you what, reminded me of another quote. Do not be the energy source for somebody who hasn't done their inner work. You want a boy or you want a man? You want to change his diaper or you want to make love to him? What do you want? You want more bullshit? He'll give you more bullshit. My goodness, you're going to have Febreze as a sponsor for you. I'll tell you that. You want a man. He doesn't have to be good at expressing his feelings. He doesn't have to be good at apologizing, but he has to at least try. So, and I get it. People have some father, mother, childhood, psychological traumas. Everyone's got something. Let's be real. There's no perfect childhood, family, marriage, or relationship. It's the ones who put in the work, people who actually reflect on themselves. So it's like you're going to have to always, compromise or just, baby this or teach someone on that. So it's like, again, it's bullshit. I would just click gone. Sorry. Until you really see some actual effort, some actions of change or growth.
Mhm.
And that way they realize this change and growth that they've had that we mentioned before about like being ready. They know it's actually something needed because it's something they've been thinking about the whole time about who they are. And you are the reason that kind of ignited this issue within them, this fear, this insecurity. So they're not necessarily only doing it for you. They're doing it because they know they've had this problem within themselves and failed at relationships before. They're finally time to grow up. And so they finally realize, I don't mind being wrong or vulnerable or weak or sad or crying. I want to be honest. And so a woman should understand and see that when it happens, because it is rare, this is be real. But when you do, then you realize, all right, he isn't full of bullshit. He's actually being, honest about making a mistake. But most of the time, they will try to sell, you know what, and then you're like, no, I'm good, because it's only a matter of time until it happens again. You need to be able to. I always tell my clients this too. I was like, and I'm curious if you do this. I'm like, call them out, call men out. Men need to be called out sometimes. It's okay. We can take it. Trust me. We're used to getting like beat up or punched and wrestled or whatever in the sports locker rooms. Us men, we can take it. You know what I mean? So it's like, call us out when we're doing something wrong. Call us out when we're bullshitting you. Call us out when we're not being honest or considerate. And you're going to really see the response, because you'll see him shrink like a boy or realize she's right. Step up like a man and not have a response.
I love what you mentioned. I was smiling because I will share a personal story if you agree with me. Tell me in the chat if you're okay with that. But I want to share a personal story because it will really relate to what you're mentioning, Coach Andres. So one day we were discussing with my wife. I won't say that we were arguing, but we were just discussing the situation. I felt that she was putting pressure on me. I didn't like it. And I told her, hey, you put pressure on me. I don't like it. And she said, yeah, I put pressure. And I was like, whoa, she has the audacity to talk to me this way, right? She said, yeah, I put pressure because if not, nothing will just advance. You won't do anything. And she was so right. I just, I'm sorry for pardon for my French, but I just shut up because she was right on this one. And it's exactly what you mentioned. Even good men, sometimes we don't realize that we are not doing enough. We are focusing too much on work. We are going out with friends, but we lack some emotional connection with you.
Mhm.
And so I like the idea that if a guy starts to be too distant, if he doesn't want to commit, it's a good idea to call him out and to explain how you feel, to explain what you expect.
Yes.
Because then you have two options. Number one, he won't hear you. He won't care about your feelings. He won't care about you. And then that put him in a position of, are you sure you want to be with this guy?
Yeah.
Because you're thinking right now, but tomorrow you'll be married. Tomorrow you will have kids. Are you sure you want to be with someone that won't hear you? Or you will find another solution, which is what I have done. Okay, so she's right. I need to step up. I need to grow. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect, but I realize that if you don't put a little bit of pressure on men,
Mhm.
you will wait for a long time for everything. So I call it healthy pressure.
Yeah.
It's healthy communication,
Yes.
healthy pressure. And I love that you mentioned that. So tell us in the chat if you have tried this option. That doesn't mean that you need to get on your phone now and say, hey, I want the wedding now or
Yeah.
never. That's not what we are telling you, but just a little bit of pressure. And there is emotional communication. There is some also from the intelligence, emotional intelligence. There is some tools that you can use right now that we share with you.
Yep.
Remember, the links are in the description. You can work one-on-one with us. There is Coach Andres. The link the link is in the description. You can work with me as well.
I'd like to add on to that real quick
Let's go
before
for it.
before
I
before
love
ladies,
it.
before you start challenging or calling out your man, based on his awesome example there, and maybe Anne's situation prior to this breakup or whatever's going on with the doctor situation. You spoke up about you and your wife and a guy that she was boyfriend girlfriend with. So make sure when you call a guy out or check him in some way, you already have an established foundation of like, we're both on the same page.
Mhm.
Like, don't do this with the third date. Don't do this on the first phone call. Don't do this with someone you don't respect or trust yet. Understand we're on the same page. Are we exclusive yet? But not yet, but we're hanging out more and more. We've gotten to know each other's families. We're both talking about the future. Make sure you speak up on that call out checkup moment with something that you guys are at a point where you can feel confident to express that, not needy or demanding that. Because when he said she's right, she called him out and put pressure because she knew where he stood. She knew his commitment. She knew what this relationship is compared to, no, we need to escalate this because you're not ready and I'm not ready. It came from a good source of confidence compared to just ego. And so, ladies, make sure you, if you're in that position with someone and you're curious where you are with someone after getting to know them really, and I mean, not just because the sex is good or he makes you laugh or you have fun, exciting dates. I'm talking about trust, respect, support, honesty, loyalty. Those things have been established. And then you can actually put that little pressure on him, say, okay, I'm curious where this is going. So again, I think that's a great point. And yeah, that's funny.
I love. There's a question from Sheila. How about someone who gave it all during courtship and later changed completely.
Ooh.
So we talk a little bit about it, Sheila, because this is what we will see or I will see every single day. As I mentioned before, when a man wants you, he's able to do anything, like literally anything. But there is a problem with that. It's the moment he got you, because you start to let your guard down, there is a big shift in the dynamic. I call it the balance of power. I know it's not a nice expression. Maybe Coach Andres can find something nicer in English, but just this imagine if you were on a pedestal and now he's taking you for granted, he would change his behavior. The problem is that's when you start to be so in love that you expect him to act like in the beginning.
Mm.
When he doesn't want to commit or when he's distant, don't expect anything. You need to regain control. Of course, use the distance, use the high energy, don't be so available, all the tools that we share in this video. And honestly, it's possible to reverse the situation. But Andres, what will be your first thing? Like if you have Sheila in coaching, what will you tell her for her to regain his attention so this guy can love her
I
again?
agree and disagree with what you just pointed out, Coach Alex. I'll say Sheila, the fact that you said specifically later changed completely,
Hmm.
that this is who he really is. This is really who he is. So whatever you were sold on the courtship or the beginning, the honeymoon phase, the I like to call it the chase of lust, not
Hmm.
love. I don't really see this working out, and I don't mean to be insensitive because who he is now, and it seems like you're frustrated, discouraged, or at least somewhat hurting by this. Someone who really wants someone for the right reasons wouldn't change completely. And I feel like you said that so specifically because it wasn't just a moment or a handful of moments or a tough month or, demanding work, quarter. It sounds like he's completely someone different from a courtship gentleman, Prince Charming to now just a jerk. And so I feel like he's showing you more of who he is and you're still holding on to what he was.
Hmm.
I would say just move on. So he realizes the fact that no, I'm not with someone like that. I'm sorry. I'm not here to say, oh, I'm allowing this. Maybe you had me at the beginning, but I'm not going to play this game. You're not going to fool me again. Because usually these kind of guys will win you over very aggressively, very passionately, and then kind of go back into it. And so they need to understand. And women do this too. So I'm not trying to call all men out, but women do this too. People do this when they are not sure what they're looking for. They always oversell something and then they start to basically dwindle within that courtship that you mentioned. So, yeah, I think he's showing you who he is and you don't like it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's also about personality. So he's showing you what he is looking for. And he's maybe not looking for a woman that has insecurities, that is mothering him, that is over giving back. Because that's what I see. We talk about the way that he changed, but maybe you changed as well. Because at the beginning, you had your friends, maybe you were thinking a little bit about your ex, so you were not really responding to him.
Hmm.
He was here, but he was not your target or your priority. So ask yourself, did you change your behavior as well? Okay. And when you realize that, hey, basically at the beginning, I was not acting like I am today. I know it's been 6 years for you, Sheila. So I'm pretty sure that your behavior changed. The answer always is on the beginning or lies on the beginning of the relationship. When you will focus on what you did before,
Hmm.
you will get the results. So that's a little tip that I wanted
No,
to
I
share.
love that because again, what we try to do as coaches is help you with some tough love, constructive criticism. So as much as he might be the jerk or the player or the cold, hot, cold guy, we're going to help challenge you. What did you do? Did you
Mhm.
change? Did you give up your life? Do you don't hang out with your friends? You don't go to the gym anymore? Are you boring? Are you just a yes woman? I'm saying we're not trying to be insensitive and be rude to your situation, more like, but we're going to say, hey, we're helping you. Did you lose yourself?
Mhm.
And if you didn't, great. He changed. He lost himself, and you're realizing I now know I don't want to put up with this. So you don't change. So in the way, what we try to help you is try to be more proactive and responsible on what you can say and do compared to waiting for him to say or do something correctly.
There's a question on TikTok. I love this question because I'm sure that Andres and me, we will have different advice. So the question is it okay to ask, what are they looking for? What do you think on this? And then I will respond because then if not, you will copy me. I know it.
uh, Yes, it is. I think it's okay to ask that, but I would say more at a that
Go
turn that, no,
ahead,
no,
go
that
ahead.
turn. You like I could
No,
feel that. I could
no,
feel that
no, no, no,
disagreement.
no.
I would say I think it's great to ask that question if you're a woman to a man, but at a point where you actually see something building or some potential, not off right off the back. It shouldn't be an interview. It shouldn't be an interrogation. It shouldn't be a demand. Otherwise, if you put that out there from the very start, I've seen this with a lot of client situations, unfortunately. The guy alters to tell you what you want to hear to get what he
Mhm.
wants. So you have to be understanding to have like quality moments of bonding or connecting or conversating away from text messages. So you can hear someone's voice, you can hear the actual approach of their energy or genuine interest of getting to know you through their face. And so sometimes you know for a fact when you see someone's face, you hear someone's voice, you're way more confident in your decision making than you would on someone's thumbs and emojis. You know that. You do that firsthand at your work. You do that firsthand with your friends. So we just casualize the easy, lazy ass way of trying to find what are you looking for, and you haven't even like talked on the phone. So again, change the approach to really see his face, hear his voice, and if there's something nice and mutually built or something reciprocally in line that you guys have something going, then yes, you have every right, and I think you should feel confident about that because you know what you're looking for, and that's okay. But you're also now being selective to quality people, quality choices based on quality moments that you can feel confident to say that compared to he never calls me and I'm going to ask him. We barely see each other and I'm going to ask him this. Well, the obvious answer is the actions right there, not the texting.
Thank you, Coach
You know
Andres.
what
And I
I'm
will
saying?
share
Yeah.
my vision. So, first of all, I want to say it's okay to disagree. That's why we are very good friends. We share the same philosophy, but we also have different experience, background, philosophy. And I received so many messages where people were telling me, Coach Andres is so good. And it's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I love this man. If you want to work with me, he is literally amazing. The link is in the description box below. And it's just good, to have different point of view. That's why we are here and we share this to you. So if you ask me, Alex, is it okay to ask a guy what is he looking for? I will tell you, hell no. Straightforward. I will explain to you why. Even because I love his answer. His answer is very smart and very profound as well.
Okay.
So that's the real thing with us. It's like we are real coaches. We are not just here to entertain you. We are not doing live as influencer. We are real coaches. Like after this live, we go back to coaching.
Yeah.
So two things that I wanted to say. Number one, as you mentioned, Coach Andres, some men, they know how to alter their response.
Mm.
What are you looking for? If you're not married, I will tell you I want a marriage. I know you want kids. I know you want a man that will be in a relationship. I would tell you that I want a relationship. I want someone I can wake up every morning and look in the eyes and say, oh my God, I love my life. That's bullshit things just to put you in my bed. Okay. That's number one. Number two, men will tell you what they think they want.
Mm.
And so they will tell you, okay, I want to be in a relationship. I want to find someone that shares the same values as mine. But at the end of the day, this won't really help you.
Mm.
So for me, as your coach, I would tell you, this is not a good question, guys or ladies. What I want you to do is to trust me. We will work together one on one. Our only goal is to show to this guy that we can create memories, we can create new emotions. So instead of asking him what is he looking for, my question to you would be, what can you make him discover? My wife got me when she took me to Art Basel, which is an event in Miami for art,
Never been.
and I hate it. I hate art.
Wait,
Like
what?
I
You're
hate art.
French.
I know I'm so stupid. I hate I my life was about sports, playing basketball. That's it.
That's art.
Everything about art, like artistic, I was like bad at it. I didn't want to go there. And she said, okay, I have 2 tickets. You want to come with me? So I was interested in her. So I said, why not? I went there and she shared with me her passion. She was so enthusiastic. And I remember this day 8 years after. I don't remember every date, but this one, I remember it. And I was there thinking, what am I doing here? I like being here. I like art. She's sharing it with, to me,
Mm.
something that I feel I didn't like it. She put something in me where I was like, wow, I love her energy. So I don't want you to focus on what he will say because we don't care. We need to focus on what can you bring to his life that he would just feel you're the one.
Mm.
And so that's a different answer. I like what you say.
No,
I think it was very powerful. And we are just trying to help you with different vision because what he says, listen to that. He told you if he's not texting much and you come and say, hey, what are you looking for? It's not good. You're losing, ladies. You're losing. Love is a game. I'm
yeah,
sorry to tell you that. Not love. Attraction is a game.
true.
We want to be winning. And if you want to win, you need to have a coach on your side.
I
What do you think of
I
this?
love that, and thank you for sharing that example. I'm surprised you don't like art. You're French. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
to. I
All
like
right.
my football
Yeah.
with you on
No,
Sunday.
I love. Again, I'm all a sports guy. I appreciate art. I'm not an art enthusiast, but I definitely appreciate it. Um, but I was gonna say, here's another creative way to ask that question if you wanted to, because I agree with your advice 100% on that.
Mhm.
Is that something that it's creative, it's kind of in depth, but also removing the pressure, and a way if you're just want to see what that person's intentions are. Ask them, how would you describe your perfect day? How would you
Ooh,
describe your perfect day?
that is very profound.
Money's not an issue. Everything's well. Everything's healthy. You are, your peak. Everything's great. And that way, you really get to know someone's true character with their guards down, but also their intriguement of like, wow, that's a very in depth, spiritual, personal question, but it's exciting. You want to know my perfect day? Yeah, I want to know like what time would you wake up and have for breakfast? Do you start your day running on the beach, or do you start your day with yoga, or do you start your days right into work? And understand that you're going to get the most truest, exciting answer from that person. And that way, if they don't include, and I wake up to my wife, or I come home to my wife and kids, or I get to work with my wife. If they perfect expression, perfect day doesn't include a family dynamic in any way, it's not good or bad. It's just different.
Mhm.
His perfect day is more about his ambition for work, or maybe art, or maybe physical fitness and adventurous travels. So there's no good or bad, but you very get a truthful answer, because I know my perfect day would have kids and my wife, and I'm sure yours now. So it's
Yeah.
like, again, that's a very creative way to kind of go over his head, compared to saying, what are you looking for? Why would you describe your perfect day? Like, money is no issue, everyone's healthy. What would you do from morning to night? And you would start to see, not only that, you got to see more of his lifestyle choices as well. And so if you see someone who just has no excitement for their perfect day, do you really want to commit to that? So it's kind of funny.
I love what you mentioned. It's very profound. So, well, ladies, I knew that you would love this episode, right? We really wanted to help you. Thank you for being here. Remember, we need you to hit the like button. We need it. We need you to share this video to every one of your friends every single week, Friday at 2 p.m. So since we started, we are doubling the number of views every week. So we need you to be there next week. And also because that's the best way for us to give you some exercises. Last week, we told you it's important to say no. We wanted you to learn how to say no, how to voice it, because as a question was in the chat from Sheila, a narcissist can change. Do you think that a narcissist can change? My answer is no way.
No.
They won't change. You need to set your boundaries. You need to know how to say no. There is a question from Pocha that I really love, and I wanted to hear your thought on this one. I am learning back, letting guys message me first, but they are complaining I am taking too long.
Move on.
Okay, you think that it's she cannot respond it a bit faster?
I mean, I look at this, her name again,
Pocha,
Pocha.
Pocha or Pacha?
If you don't have the available time to be in a relationship, then now you're misrepresenting yourself and confusing the dating world. But if you do, and you're just not interested, or you're bored, or you feel like you're not really attracted to someone, then you should just kind of move on. The main thing is, I've noticed a lot of people, and I feel like maybe, again, I'm sure men do this too, but I'm going to relate this to my clients, a lot of women who I coach, is that they just keep a lot of weak options around.
Mhm.
They just keep like a roster around for other reasons of companionship or interest or attention. If someone is not at the top one, two, if not max three of your desire, interest, challenge, compatibility, move on. Don't ghost them. Just let them know, I think we want different things, or I'm not ready to date. Be honest with them. You don't have to tell them the full truth, but don't ghost anybody. Let them know. Cut
Mhm.
them off. Because if you're taking too long to respond, you really either don't have the time to date, which is going to affect your relationship with the right guy. So be aware of that. Or you don't want to really, you don't care. to respond. So you keep
I
people
think she's
around.
playing a game. I think that
Oh,
she's like
okay.
taking the time because she doesn't want to seem so available. And if it's the case, you don't have to play games. You can respond a little bit faster, but realize also one thing. Sometimes men will tend to make you act the way they want. As Coach Andres mentioned, if you're not interested, if you don't have time, if you love to take your time, just tell them, hey, this is my way of being. I have a lot of things. I'm very busy. I will take 1 day to respond. That's a comment. And that's okay. If you take 1 day to respond, basically you will be able to get a good connection. You will be able to show them that there is reasons for you to take a little bit of time. If you tell yourself, okay, I heard that we need to take 1 day to respond to a man, I'm sorry, I disagree with that. Because when you're dating and you want to create a connection, you need to have conversation. So attraction is a game. That doesn't mean that you need to change your personality. That doesn't mean that you need to be someone else or you need to follow rules that you don't like it. In the meantime, if you are dating someone that is not investing time in you, that is not good.
Sure.
So every situation is different.
Actually, to add on to that, because
Yep.
you just opened up a new like idea of that, is also seeing people's availability on time. So say she is interested but just doesn't have the time. It would be smart for the guy to start to observe the fact that she doesn't text or near her phone a lot. Because I coach a lot of nurses or women in the medical field where they can't
Yeah.
have their phone for 12 hours, only 30 minutes a day for a
Mhm.
break. So he should be aware if it is a pattern where you do respond, you are interested, you are engaged when you're there on the phone, or the texting does continue to grow, but other times in the day you're not. And is it because, again, I coach a lot of single parents, I coach a lot of women who work a lot, so they don't really want to text all day on the phone. So it would be smart for the guy, if he has interest in you and you have interest in him, to say, you know what, I shouldn't really put the pressure on texting so much during the afternoon, because she
Love
seems
it.
to respond more at evening, or we have great conversations on the weekends. He should be observant enough on that compared to complaining on that. But if he's basically saying, you don't respond to anything at any time, then maybe he's just obviously a little too needy, but also not seeing the idea that you're not interested, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
That is very, very important, ladies. So there is a lot of options, a lot of rules. Remember that we are real coaches and we want to be on your side. So we can work one on one. Okay. We can really take the time to study your situation, study your psychology, study your boyfriend or your target psychology also. So the link are in the description. Remember that Coach Andres is doing a lot of lives on TikTok. You can find him on TikTok, Instagram. If you want to share, it's Coaching with Andres, right?
Yes, coachingwithandres.com is my website, which has all my platforms, my whole story, my qualifications. Again, I'm a certified life and relationship coach. I've been doing this for 5 years under Coach Alex and his whole amazing business that we do and we love. Again, we do this full time. We love what we do. I go on live on TikTok, Coach_Andres, which I will be tonight around 8:30 Eastern. I usually do it on 3 times a week, or you can follow me on Instagram, Coaching with Andres 711, which is my birthday, not the store. And again, so I always appreciate all your viewership. I love doing this podcast. And again, ladies, share this with your friends. Share this with anybody who can benefit off this. Share this with anyone who can think that might need this little push of education or, motivation to understand dating should be more fun. But if we're a little more prepared, then maybe we'll make less bad decisions.
Thank you again. Thank you, Coach Andres.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So, what is the assignment that we can give you this week, ladies? Because the goal was okay, we are facing men that doesn't want to commit, they want to be distant. You said to not be too available. So, I want to give you one assignment and you would give one after that.
Okay.
Okay. So, my assignment this week is to use neuroscience on your side. So, you know me, I study a lot neuroscience, human psychology. And every time I study neuroscience, they say, the first initiative is very important. Don't do it. Let the guy text you, call you. You will answer with a very high energy and you will let me know next week what happened.
Mm.
So let them initiate, respond with high energy like your life is amazing. And in 1 week, we will have a little feedback together. This will be my assignment. Don't do the first step. And when you respond, Don't be mad. Don't be angry because most of you ladies, you're confused by using the distance. You think that you have to be negative, you have to be mad,
No.
you have to be angry. Not at all. What is that? We are not in a fight.
Yeah.
We are in the balance of power, but not in a fight. So this will be my assignment for this week, and I hope you will do it, Coach
I
Andres.
love that. I love that. This will kind of add on to his assignment. If you want to be interesting, be interested. If you
Ooh.
want to be interesting, be interested. Listen, be present. Listen, be present, be engaged. Again, value those phone conversations, in-person conversations, those first day conversations. Have nice questions, thoughtful questions, because a good man notices that. Truly, we know we need to be good listeners. We know women do talk more, like to talk more, and share more things than us men, and all different things. But if a woman's listening to me and actually has a very thoughtful, challenging question, that's one of the most attractive things. So if you want to be interesting, be interested.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, ladies, don't forget to hit the like button and to share it to your friends like Amma did it on TikTok. Thank you so much. You are so amazing. We love you, ladies. Coach Andres, thank you so much for your
Always a
time.
pleasure.
Yep, it's raining outside, but still, with this storm, we are here doing the live, and we can thank even our dear friend Ray that is here behind the camera. Buddy, thank you so much for
Thank you,
tuning
Ray.
in. Yep. So, we are here for you next week. We will talk about some very, very spicy topic that I will tell you this week what it will be because it's always based on your question, based on your needs. Okay, ladies?
One last point. I want you all to make sure you share this live with anybody and everybody who might benefit off this, because we also know as coaches, our busiest time is usually around the holidays when they start to come up, because there might be high emotions, a level of traditions or memories or ways to kind of have that right partner, right relationship for New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day, not too far away. So this is the perfect, beautiful time to really capitalize and become more prepared, more skilled, more educated. So you have more fun on these holidays compared to just being needy or desperate to have that partner or that date or that New Year's Eve kiss. So again, this is the time to really step it up, to really end the year strong with your goals.
And remember, we're here for you, ladies. Thank you again, and we will see you next week. Take care of yourself, ladies. Talk to you soon. Bye.